everyone. My name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hi, hello, welcome to the new ring light setup. I apologize for the circle that you're gonna see in my glasses. Hi! Oh my gosh, yes. Hello, friends. It's been a second since we've done a sit-down video, but today we're gonna be doing kind of a mid-year wrap-up, sort of a mid-year book freakout tag, adjusted. We're gonna talk about where I'm at in my reading for the year 2025. And I have some book awards questions that I made up, I believe, last year using a number of different things. I was influenced from the mid-year book freakout tag and also some folks on TikTok who were, you know, creating like mid-year tags to do. So I took a couple different questions, mashed them all together, and we're gonna kind of do that today. But so far in the year of our Lord 2025, I have read 53 books, excluding my DNFs, and I have DNF'd 5 books. I started the year out back in January with a vlog that was very intentionally set out to start the year off right and also just to have good intention, good goals to go forward into 2025 with. When I did that, let me pull up my book journal and we'll see what goals I set out to do. The first one was read 120 books. I believe I'm behind on that goal. And I adjusted my Storygraph goal specifically to be down to 100 because I did not like to see all of that, like, you're X amount of books behind, you're this amount of books behind, right? So I just dropped my Storygraph one, but I kept my Goodreads goal at 120 because I don't look at the Goodreads one as much. It doesn't show up immediately on your page when you open up the app. So we'll see. It's still 120 books. I do have faith in myself, but I have been reading a little slower this year than I have in the past, which is totally fine because I mean, the second half of the year, I could read so many books. Who's to say? We will find out. But yes, we are at 53 books out of that total so far. Pretty happy with that. I wanted to use the library more, which I have been. I've also been tracking in my my book journal, how many books I've read from the library and what I've rated each one of them, which is kind of nice to have. I've also been tracking like month to month how many books I've read from the library. Within these pages, I've like written down library books read 2 or whatever. And that includes physical and books that I've gotten through my Kobo, because the Canadian libraries go through Kobo. I wanted to hit a 50-50 rate, a 50-50 ration. That doesn't make any sense. A 50-50 like split on books that are written by BIPOC authors and books that are not, because in the past it's always been below 50% for BIPOC authors. And I believe I was at a 60-40 split, so 60% BIPOC authors and 40% white authors at the beginning of the year in January. Okay, so we are at currently a 55% yes BIPOC authors and 44% no BIPOC authors, with some like decimal points in there to make it a full 100%. But we're still in the majority of reading BIPOC authors alone, which is the goal always, to diversify my reading, diversify my shelves, etc., etc. We love that. I wanted to read more sci-fi books. This year so far, I have read 9 sci-fi books, and in 2024, I read 17 in total. So we are over halfway through the sci-fi, reading more than the 17 books that I read last year, which is awesome. I feel like I've been reading a fair amount of like really good sci-fi this year as well. We love that. I also wanted to read more Canadian books. Have I been reading Canadian books? Not purposefully, but it's always really fun when I get surprised by a book that's Canadian. I'm like, oh, it's written by a Canadian author. I have read 8 books so far this year that are Canadian compared to the 38 American, the 5 British, the 4 Australian, and then there's a bunch of other nationalities in there as well. I could still read more Canadian books overall. I also wanted to finish 10 series in total this year. As so far, I have finished 3. I finished Sunbear Duology by Aidan Thomas. Then I finished Moses Osei-Utomi's Forever Desert, which is his like novella series that he has. These are the first 2. We have The Lies of the Ajengo and The Truth of the Aleke. And then the third one is coming out this year, I believe in July or August, this summer, which is The Memory of the Ogishi, which I have read because I got an ARC through NetGalley. So thank you for NetGalley for that. And I have now officially finished this novella series, which is really cool. I really like this novella series. I think it is fascinating what Moses Osei-Utomi was doing with not necessarily linking together every book as a continuous story, but as a like each one of these stories is set in the same place, like hundreds of years after one another, to show the progression of time and story and history and how that is cyclical in nature sometimes. And I thought it was really interesting. And as a whole, I absolutely do recommend these. And then I also finished The Secrets of the Nile by Isabel Ibanez, which is actually something that I started and finished this year as well. It's a little duology, but it's like What the River Knows and What the Library Hides. I think those are the two. I remember picking up What the River Knows and just being flabbergasted by how outrageous it was. I have since convinced Lindsay to read it, and she also said it. It's been very fun. I think she's currently reading the second one. So, is it good? No, but it was so fun. It was a lot of fun, I will say. So finish that one as well. Some other ones that I do want to finish this year, and I am set up to finish. Number one is Megan E. O'Keefe's The Devoured Worlds trilogy. I have her third and final book in that one, The Bound Worlds, to finish, and then I'm done that one. I would also like to finish the Halfling Saga, which I have read book one of, and I have the two next ones on my shelves, and then I will get the fourth one from the library, which is another series video that I've got set up. So those two are both series videos. I would also love to finish Parable of the Talents, which is the second book in Octavia E. Butler's duology, the Parable duology. I would also like to complete the Lycanius trilogy, potentially, by James Islington, because I only have one book left of that one. Elements of Cadence by Rebecca Ross. I have only one more book at that one to do. And yeah, I have a lot of different series that I have on the go. I think, let me check my series tracker, because that's always fun. I have 96 ongoing series right now. Out of 269 series in my life that I can remember reading is on this series tracker that I have in my cop-out spreadsheet. I have finished, out of all of those, 48 series, and I've DNF'd 125. So I need to, at some point, go back through this and like figure out, I like to do that every so often, every couple months, to go back through all the series that I'm currently underway and see if I do still want to finish them or continue reading in them. I think that's a great way to like keep myself abreast of like what I have on the go and if I will ever finish them. And there's also so many series that I've started recently that are debuts and like the first book of a series. So it's not necessarily my fault in a lot of these instances that I have not yet finished these series. It is my fault in a lot of them because the series do exist in the world, finished and completed, and I just have not yet finished them. So that is the goal. That is the whole situation. I have so many different ones that I could read. I have duologies that I could finish, like the Red Bear duology and the Alamaxa duology, and as I said, the Elements of Cadence. So I've got lots of different things that I can finish, but I am 3 series in, so I am not halfway done this goal. So the second half of 2025 better be me finishing series. That's just what I gotta say. I need to finish these goddamn series. And then the last one was Buy Less, which I have very much failed on. I have been recently on a pseudo book buying ban where it's a very specific book buying ban where I'm not letting myself buy new books until my birthday, which is in September. That does not mean that I have not been buying like book outlet books, which are less money, and thrifted books and all that kind of stuff. But I have been more mindful of like what I'm actually buying and buying books that I've either already read that I want to add to my shelves or like I desperately do want to read. So far this year, I've added 65 books to my collection. And out of those books, I've read 22 of them. I've spent $1,133 on books though. So I really need to stop. Also, that book buying ban caveat of like no new books does not count for pre-orders. Pre-orders do not count. Which I have a bunch of books pre-ordered, which is kind of fun. I've been keeping track of them in a note, which is usually on my phone, but I can access it on my computer. In a note, kind of like this, where I've like put down books that I'm interested in, and then whether or not I've pre-ordered them or not, or like there's an asterisk next to ones that I have not yet pre-ordered that I get from the library. And so like in January there was the Water Moon, and February there's Emily Wilde 3, etc. So I have 3 books coming to me in July, because July is a banger month, and then August is also a banger because Catabasis is coming in August. I'm so excited. I have 2 in August coming, and then I have 2 in September coming, 1 in October, and then 1 in November, and none in December yet because I have not heard of any December releases that I'm like super interested in. So outside of all those pre-orders, I would like to not buy any brand new books, which has been interesting because there are so many books that I would love to just go out and buy, but I'm saving that. I'm saving that for my birthday to treat myself. And I think it's always good to be mindful of spending because as a Canadian, our book prices are atrocious, especially brand new hardcovers. fantasy hardcovers are $40 minimum now. And that is atrocious. So if I can get a hardcover book for like $7, $8 on something like Book Outlet, or thrifting it for $6, $7 at Value Village or something, that's where I'm gonna go. It's more mindfully spending, and also when you're thrifting, it's keeping books out of the landfill. So does that even count for buying books? Girl math. Anyways, so that is kind of a breakdown of where I'm at so far this year. I guess I could do just a kind of a brief thing. So I said I've read 53 books. I have read about 20,000 pages so far this year. I've listened to about 216 hours of audiobook, which is great because you guys know I tend to read everything, pretty much like 95% of the book. As I said, I've DNF'd like 5 books. I've read everything in English because I don't really read in any other language other than French, and I don't actively seek that out. I have been better at reading my ebooks, actually. I'm gonna pull up my Storygraph here because ebooks, I've been more interested in reading ebooks, and I've been reading a lot of library books on my Kobo, which is great as someone who usually just reads physically. Of course, the most books I've read is fantasy. Storygraph says it's 30, but Cawpile says 28. So I've also this year kept I'm gonna show you guys on the screen as well, kept a different tag list in my Storygraph. So these tags I've created to keep track of specific books this year. I wanted to specifically create a tag that was not only for the BIPOC authors of 2025, so I know how many I've been reading. And so far this year that I've completed in full, it's 29 out of all 53 that I've read. Physical TBR, I'm keeping track of that one simply because I use the owned books category on Storygraph to keep track of my physical TBR. And every time I read a book off of that physical TBR, I remove it from my owned books list. So to keep track of how many books I'm actually reading off of my TBR, I've created this tag to mark physical TBR down. We're at 25 this year, which could be better. It could be better. It's not quite half. I've also been keeping track of how many library books in total I've got. So we've got 9 library physical books and also 7 ebooks off of my library. I've also reread 6 books this year. I've read 5 arcs from Neck Alley this year. I've also read 4 Kobo ebooks this year. Now, can I tell you if the arcs and the Kobo ebooks are different books? No, because I feel like sometimes I've tagged them as like both arc and Kobo because I'm reading them on my Kobo. So I couldn't tell you if those are different, but at least that's where that is. And then for some reason that also tracks the 2022 releases at the bottom there. But the top ones are like all of the created tags that I have created. And I like seeing things like this. I love seeing a graph. I love seeing numbers. But what I was going for, I've read a total of 15 digital books this year, 1 exclusively on audio. And then out of all of the 37 print books that I've read, I don't believe there is a single one that I have not listened to the audiobook for. So I tend to read everything, as you guys know. So there's that. My most read authors so far are Megan E. O'Keefe. I've read 3 of her books. Isabella Bañez, I've read 2. Chelsea Abdullah, I've read 2. Aiden Thomas, 2. Benjamin Stevenson, 2. And Nisa J. Tooley, 2. Anyways, so those are all the stats and the catch up of where I'm at in 2025 so far. So let's go over my little book awards questions because I think that's kind of fun. Have I actually thought about any of these? No. But we're gonna think about them now. Okay, so the best start to a series that I read this year. Holy shit, can I even tell you that's like brand new? That question, I think I'm going to leave to these 2 books specifically. Where is it? Here it is. These 2 books as the best start to a series that I've read so far this year. So we have Dragon Rider by Taran Matharu, which is the first book that I finished in 2025. It was such a great start to a series. I gave it 4.5 stars. I absolutely ate this up. It's got Aragon feelings. I love a good dragon fantasy. We love a good political high fantasy. Love, love, love. And then The Principal Moments by Esme Gikiyami Pearson. I gave 5 stars because of the whole reading experience, but is a 4.5 star in my head. Not quite a perfect new favorite, but it's fine. 5 stars. Because I read it with Allie. My buddy read it with Allie, and it was so much fun. Actually, this did not have the audiobook to it. So here's the one physical book I did not read with an audiobook. Because this does not have an audiobook to it available in North America as of yet. This was so great. I absolutely ate this up. The world building is so fun. It was honestly one of the most intricately well done books that I've read in a long time. And if you like Doctor Who, you're gonna eat this shit up. So good. This fantasy sci-fi. I loved it. The next question is the best sequel that I've read so far this year. Do not own a copy of, which is The Fractured Dark by Megan E. O'Keefe. This is the second book in her Devout Worlds trilogy. I love this trilogy so much. The Blighted Stars, which is the first one, is one of my favorite sci-fi books ever. I love the characters and the world building and the story that Megan E. O'Keefe is writing and building in here. Megan E. O'Keefe is becoming a quick favorite author of mine. Like, she's so good. Absolutely ate this up. I'm also going to add a favorite standalone that I've read so far this year because I think that would be fun. And I don't really usually read a lot of standalones. Off the top of my noggin, my favorite standalone is Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. I loved this. Hi, sweetness. You want to come here? You want to be part of the video again? She keeps rubbing her tail under my leg. Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. This is a perfect me book. Reading this, I was absolutely delighted. Arthurian mythology retelling, cozy, kind of weird. It's got such fun banter to it. If you want to read a book and take a look right directly into my brain without reading one of my books, A Second Spring or A Little Luck or A Favored Fey, pick up Green Teeth because this shit is exactly the kind of book that I love. This is my brand of book. This is my favorite standalone. I loved this. This follows Jenny Greenteeth, who is a kind of lake-dwelling monster who one day saves a witch from the bottom of the lake and finds out a lot of dark shit is happening in the town nearby. And she takes this witch and also another one of her little like fey creatures, and they go on this little journey. We love a quest and, you know, save the day. And it's great. Like the twists and turns at the end of this, I loved. It was cozy in the best way. Cozy with teeth, I would say. Loved. Absolutely ate this up. I love this. What are you doing with that hand? Hi, baby. Oh, hold on. Next question is the best book that I've read so far this year, and that hands down goes to Parable of the Sower. Parable of the Sower. That's how you say it. By Octavia E. Butler. I read this in February for one of my friends pick my TBR situations, and I ate this up in one sitting. It was insane. Masterpiece. Is it a new favorite book? Not necessarily, but it is a 5-star incredible piece of literary masterwork that sent me on a little bit of a dystopian spin after that, and I loved this book. I'm gonna tell you nothing about it. Just go into it blind because, oh my god. Check trigger warnings though. Shit's a little intense, but this is one of the most incredible nuanced books that I have ever read, and I kind of miss reading books like this because a lot of today's books that are like marketed as something like this are so heavy-handed with their shit that I yearn for a good nuanced read. Alas, in today's reader, you need a little bit of a heavy-handed slap to the face because sometimes people just don't see it. This was phenomenal. The best book outside my genre that I've read this year, I would say, oh, let me pull up my 5 stars because that's gonna make things a lot easier. There's not many 5 stars this year. I've only read 6. Some of them are rereads, so they don't even count. All the 5 stars are fantasies. That's so funny. Ooh, I'd say Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll, this one, or Benjamin Stevenson's Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. These two, I had so much fun with. I love them so much. I genuinely think about Bright Young Women every week at least once or twice. Like it's living rent-free in my noggin, okay? The most disappointing read of the year, let me just see here. You know what? This year has been very weird. This year has been very weird. I was thinking about that today, about my like reading life and how different it is. I think it doesn't feel like a standout year. Last year was an absolute banger, and I think that's because I found Empire and Relics last year. They just absolutely fucking blew my socks off. But this year, I haven't really read a lot of great, amazing, phenomenal books that are like new to me. I reread a lot of books, so I think that's where it is. But the most disappointing book, I think, for me this year has to be one that I just spent a lot of money on, and that is A Song of Legends Lost by M.H. Allende. And it's not even like I was reading this and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so disappointed in this. It's just that now after I've finished reading it and I've come to the end of it and I did not like this very much, I'm disappointed in myself. And I'm also just sad because like something like this should be a new favorite of mine. Ooh, that's very shiny. And I'm disappointed because I spent over $60 on this special version of it from Goldsboro Books because it's just stunning and it's signed, and I really enjoy the author because I follow her on TikTok. But this book just really fell flat for me. I equate this to just not being my brand of fantasy. It falls, like, the description of it is something that I would love. Like, it's a very political, very epic, multi-POV fantasy that involves like interesting magic systems and very intriguing worlds and all that kind of stuff. Like, that is my bread and butter. But this falls under a kind of fantasy that when I'm reading it, it feels very surface level, and I never care more for the characters than I do when I first start reading it. Another book that felt like this was The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters, and everybody and their mother is comparing this to that one, and they saying, like, if you love that one, read this one. Yes. If you love The Rage of Dragons, pick this up because you're gonna eat this up. It's just not for me, and that's okay. That's okay. Another one that kind of falls under that almost is Blood of the Old Kings by Sung Il Kim. This kind of had that feeling, even though I did enjoy this more than this one, but like same kind of vibe. And another one I would say is, now that I've gotten some distance from it, I would say The Wheel of Time feels like that for me as well. Just so many characters, feels so epic that it just doesn't quite let you connect to the characters that much. I don't know what it is. But yeah, this is the most disappointing read of the year. I gave it 2.5 stars if you're curious. The worst book I've read this year is different than that. Fable for the End of the World, or Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reed. This garbage. Don't waste your time with this book, okay? It promises to be dystopian, and this to me falls under the new era of dystopian books that uses that label just as an aesthetic. It's a poorly done dystopian romance. Don't waste your time with this. Like, it's incredibly readable, which is why I gave it like 1.5 stars and not like fully just 0 stars or 1 star. It's very readable. Is it good? No. World building is garbage. There's a lot of elements to the story that don't mean anything. Like, you could take them out of the story or you could change them and it would not have any difference on the story. If anything, what this did was that it inspired me to write something better that's like this, or that's what this promised it would be, and it is not. So this one, worst book of the year. The best reread of the year, that's a great question. Let me pull up my rereads. So as I said, I've reread 6 books. I'm not gonna say Empire of Exiles because I did start rereading that one last year in November, December, because I was doing the book club with Erin M. Evans and Trevor Bettis on the Writing About Dragons and Ship podcast. That one takes that hands down. But other than that, the best reread was The Blighted Stars, because this was an almost favorite book of last year, and upon reread, it just cemented it as like a new favorite sci-fi, which I love so deeply. So yeah, The Blighted Stars. The best new author to me is an interesting question, because have I read a lot of like brand new, amazing authors? Okay, so new authors this year. Oh, the new authors to me, Octavia E. Butler. Why is that? No. Why did I hesitate? Octavia E. fucking Butler. I've read 1 book of hers and I love her so much. So I can't wait to read more of her. Another one I would probably say is Esme Jikiyami Pearson. I'm really excited to see where her books go from here and how much better they become, because if that was her fucking debut, let's fucking go, you know? Best author of the year, I don't know, to be honest. I feel like Megan E. O'Keefe is gonna be just like the sleeper hit of the year. I don't really know on that one. I'll say Megan E. O'Keefe because I've read so many of her books now. I've read 3 of her books this year so far, and I really enjoyed The Two Lives of Faven Scythe, which is her brand new release. Really liked that one, and the writing is just incredible. So we'll see from there how from like at the end of the year what that answer will be. But for now, Megan E. O'Keefe. And other than Octavia E. Butler, there's not really like a standout author that I've just been like, give me all of their work. Maybe Benjamin Stevenson. I've really enjoyed his mysteries. They're so fun. I don't know. I really don't know. Anyways. Next question. A new release that I have not yet read. I will probably say that like the one that I'm most excited about is the 3rd Emily Wilde book. This is a new release from first half of the year that I have not yet read. I would say the Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. This is the 3rd book in this trilogy. I have not yet read it, and I was very excited for it. Other than that, what other ones from the first half of the year have I not yet read? Ooh, The Tainted Con, which is the sequel to Dragon Rider, is waiting for me at the library. I'm very excited to go pick that one up. Oh, maybe Oathbound by Tracy Dion. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. A new release that I'm excited about from the second half of the year coming up. Number 1, Red Tempest Brother. Number 2, Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sango Mandana. Number 3, Catabasis. I'm just so excited. I've mentioned all these before. I'm also super excited about The Possession of Alba Diaz. I'm also so excited about The Isle in the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri. I got an arc for it this morning from NetGalley. I'm so excited. I'm also very, very excited about Brigands and Bread Knives by Travis Baldry. Another one in his world is coming out. We love that. And Strength of the Few by James Islington. I pre-ordered that one from Blackwell's because getting it here in Canada is going to be like $50-some for a regular hardcover. Absurd. So I pre-ordered it from Blackwell's. So hopefully it matches my other one, because my other one, my Will of the Many, is like a typical Saga Press hardcover. It's the old cover with like the columns on the front. So we'll see if this one matches. If it doesn't, it's fine. I'll just eventually get new ones that all match, but it's fine. I'll probably get paperbacks when they all come out. Anyways, those are all the releases I'm so excited about this year. I'm so excited. A new favorite character is Amandine, Bitter Amandine from The Two Lives of Faven Scythe. I really enjoyed her. I love me a completely batshit loyal character who will take no shit and will protect her crew at all costs. It's very Gideon coded. That's really it. I love Amandine so much. She was such a great character to read. The most beautiful book I have acquired this year? That's a great question. What have I acquired this year that's pretty? The Song of Legends Lost. And this one's the most pretty because look at these fucking sprayed edges. Gorgina, so pretty. Another one I would say is, I haven't really gotten any like nice special editions this year. I got Dark Mirror by Samantha Shannon, which is absolutely stunning. It's also signed Gabi. I love it. Have I read the series? No. This is the 5th one in her Bone Season series, but I trust Samantha Shannon enough that I have all of them. I have read the original Bone Season. I just have not yet read the rewritten one, and I liked the original Bone Season, so I can't imagine that I wouldn't like the rewritten one because it's even better. Ooh! And I got the whole, oh my god. I got the whole trilogy. You're currently on the 3rd book, but the redone trilogy, like the re-released covers of the Queens of Renthia trilogy by Sarah Beth Durst, these, I would say, are some of the most beautiful books I now own. I got gifted them from Harper Voyager. Thank you, Harper Voyager. But like, they're just so cool. And if you've read them, you know that these like sprites have different, you know, meanings in the world and that kind of thing. But so pretty. Love that. And I guess like the most beautiful book that I've gotten this year is my own. I had to. It's up for pre-order now. Paperbacks are coming, but ebooks are there. You can go pre-order it now. It's your next new favorite cozy fantasy. Trust me. But like, look at this shit. You can't tell me that this is not just one of the most beautiful covers you've ever seen. Tess outdid themselves this time. Truly. I'm absolutely obsessed. So there you go. Most beautiful books I've gotten. And what books do I need to read before the end of the year? I did talk about that a lot with all the different series that I wanted to read. Absolutely need to read before the end of the year. I would like to read more Octavia E. Butler books. I've got Wild Seed, Parable of the Talents, and Fledgling on my TBR, physical TBR, so I'd love to read those. Everything that's on my physical TBR I need to read, but I did talk about a lot of them in this video of like series that I want to keep going with and that kind of a thing, so that's how I'm going to leave this answer. It's all of those that I did talk about. But anyways, my friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me during this little recap of 2025 so far with my brand new ring light. Tell me, how did you like the quality of the video? Did it look any different? Is it good? Were you annoyed by the circle? Let me know. It's not actually a circle. It is a hexagon. Kind of matches the shape of my glasses, but anyway, looks like a circle when it's like this. So there is that. But yes, my friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will catch you in another video very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.